Hello everyone, thank you for joining the webinar. Today we're going to go over how to use the DealerVault application. If you already have the application and know how to use it, we'll go through some advanced tips. If you're new to the platform, we'll also give some beginner tips. I'd like to introduce our panelists today. Today we have Patrick McKeever. He's our Senior Sales Executive. We also have Gina Larson. So I think I'll hand it over to them right now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Thanks for the introduction. But we're very lucky to have my colleague Gina Larson join us today to really walk us through the DealerVault platform. So really the goal today, whether you're a dealer or that's using the platform currently or potentially a dealer that's exploring using our platform, or on the other side of the fence, you're a third party or a vendor, if you will, that's looking to potentially use our platform to receive DMS data from your dealer clients. We want to give you a great, nice thorough overview of the platform itself. And we'll start off with things like, very, very simply, how do I log in if I'm a dealer? How do I log into DealerVault? We're going to highlight who is part of our vendor network. We've got over 300 vendors that are part of our dealer network and growing, quite frankly, every day. We'll walk through how the tool actually works in terms of adding feeds and things of that nature. And we'll touch upon why DealerVault is a more secure DMS distribution tool for dealerships today. Some highlights, some key points that Gina will really be going through here in a moment with the demo site itself is if you're a dealership, whether you're a single point or enterprise multi-store group, what does that functionality look like? How can I use that to add feeds for one store or many? Very simply, how do I activate feeds? That's a commonly asked question, very easy to do, and Gina will walk through that. We'll provide field-level review of the data elements. So a great highlight of the DealerVault tool is giving dealerships the visibility of what a vendor is asking for down to a field level in terms of whether it be a sales file, service file, etc. You can really dive in there and see what sort of data is being sent out to which particular vendors. We can, unfortunately, we hear dealers choose to stop doing business with someone. We do provide, and we'll show you how to deactivate feeds where need be. We'll show you how the audit delivery reporting works. And if you don't find a vendor on our current list, we can also show you where to add that, and we'll do the heavy lifting and work with those folks in terms of getting them on board the DealerVault network. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Gina and pass you the screen rights. And Gina's going to walk us through the DealerVault demo here just momentarily.
Thanks, Patrick. Welcome, everyone, to the DealerVault demonstration that we've frankly been asked for from multiple dealerships just to make sure that we are able to get all of our partners and all of our dealerships being able to take full advantage of the technology. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to share my screen, and if someone can confirm that everyone can see my screen?
Yep, good to go.
Great, okay. So from the very first point of DealerVault that Patrick spoke about, how do I log in? Very simply, if we go to the DealerVault.com website, there's a spot right up on the upper right-hand corner which says DealerVault Login. Pretty simple, self-explanatory. So we would click on that, and what we will now see is what the login screen looks like. So I have pre-populated all of my login information, and I'm going to log into DealerVault. We're now at what we call the home screen of DealerVault. And the scenario that you'll see here is that I am set up as a dealership. Specifically, we're working with the hometown BMW store, but as you can see, I have multiple stores that I can easily toggle between. So if I don't want to look at the BMW store, but I really want to see what's going on in my Cadillac store, I simply choose the drop-down and go to the specific store I'm looking for. What you'll see on the screen is a synopsis of what's happening right now with my hometown Hyundai store within DealerVault. you can see that I have multiple feeds that are currently set up and being delivered to our third-party vendors or delegates or partners. You'll hear those terms quite frequently interchanged. So, for example, I have an inventory feed that's being sent to Carfax on a daily basis at 11:30 p.m. You'll see that that first delivery occurred on December 7th at 1:34, and my last delivery was on the 13th of December. In that last delivery, there were 219 records delivered to Carfax. Additionally, you'll see feeds for JVS Marketing and Search Optics. One thing to point out with Search Optics, for example, is that there are multiple file types or feed types being sent, so each one of those are a scheduled delivery. Now the scenario is that I want to add an additional feed to my hometown Hyundai store. So I simply click on Add a Feed, and as you'll see here, there is a list, as Patrick mentioned, of over 300 partners or delegates that we are adding to on a daily basis. We add delegates in a couple of scenarios. It may be delegates that come to us and say they have been requested to receive data fields from one of their dealerships that they partner with, or it could be that we receive a request from a dealership to add a delegate, and I'll walk you through both scenarios in a minute. So where we're at right here is this list of 300 plus delegates, and let's say that we want to add Carfiend to our list of feeds. We simply type in Carfiend and it pops up on the screen, and I hit submit. And now what I see on my screen is the real nuts and bolts of what that Carfiend feed would look like. So we've already done the plumbing with Carfiend to understand what specific data elements they need in order to most effectively drive their programs. They obviously need inventory data on a daily basis with no historical data ever delivered. They also need sales data on a daily basis with a 1-month historical data feed. Now I can do a couple of things here. I could simply activate the feed from this point, assuming that I'm good with the standard feed that Carfiend has requested. Or one of the topics that we talked about with Patrick giving an overview is how can I really take a deeper level review of the data elements that Carfiend is looking for. So by clicking on Fields, I can now see the specific data elements that will be delivered to Carfiend on a daily basis. And most of the time, this information is standard information being delivered, and we're okay with sharing that. But maybe there's some information on commission, for example, that we don't feel Carfiend needs to receive. If that's the case, we can simply uncheck that button and hit Submit. What will happen is a series of alerts will go out to you as the dealer, to Carfiend as the vendor, and to DealerVault saying there's been a change to that feed. Most of the times the change is not significant enough that it will severely impact the program's performance, but there may be times when the vendor reaches back out to you, the dealer, and talks about that change. So we've made that change, and we can now activate feeds. We can hit Submit, and again a series of alerts will go out. Now one thing I want to just go back and point out is that let's choose a different delegate. So as I had mentioned earlier, I'm set up with multiple stores. So I can set up feeds on a store-by-store basis. So maybe I only want one store, or maybe I want all of my stores to be set up for that AVRS feed. That is totally in your control as the dealer. You determine who gets what feeds, how often, for which stores. Okay? So now going back to our home page, we have just set up this Carfeed feed. And what you'll see here is those Carfeed feeds are now showing up under pending activities. They will remain in pending activities until that delegate or that partner has received that alert and has reviewed and approved the sample feed. Once that occurs, these feeds will now move down to current feeds, and the data will begin to flow to the vendors as they are scheduled. Okay. We talk about why DealerVault is a more secure DMS distribution tool. Part of the reason for that is giving dealerships the ability to understand where their data feeds are going, how often are they being received, when was the first delivery, when was the last delivery, and all types of different components that they can report on. So what you see right now on my screen is a group management tool that will allow you as the dealer to do some simple searching capability if you wanted, for example, to understand all of the pending feeds. You simply start typing pending and it will pop up. Or if you wanted to see how many feeds are being sent to L2T Media, 2T. You can see that only Hometown BMW is sending a feed to L2T. The other nice feature about this is that you can export all of this information to a CSV format and use it for other analytics outside of DealerVault. What if we wanted to go back and add a feed to a vendor that wasn't set up? We talked about having vendors for partnerships with over 300 vendors right now. But we understand that there are many other vendors that need to be onboarded with DealerVault. So we're going to use ABC Marketing as an example. We'll see that we don't currently have a feed set up for ABC Marketing. So you as the dealer don't have to worry about doing the heavy lifting to connect DealerVault and ABC Marketing together. Simply click on Add a Delegate, provide us the information that we would need to contact them. So the delegate name, if they have a particular program that you are wanting to subscribe to, contact information. And then what will happen is we will receive a notification that there is someone we need to contact, and we will work with that delegate to get them onboarded into DealerVault, understand what their feeds need to look like specifically, and then at the end we will circle back around with you and help you activate that feed specifically. One of the other topics we touched on is why is DealerVault a more secure DMS distribution tool for dealerships? Certainly we believe that this is a tool that gives the control back to dealers. The dealers are the ones who are able to activate feeds, deactivate feeds, change feeds, understand who's getting what data, when they're getting the data, what components of the data a vendor is receiving, and we can make sure that vendors who are no longer in partnerships with our dealers are not receiving data. So let's talk about that a little more. We have a current feed set up right now for Search Optics for my dealership, Hometown Hyundai. For whatever reason, the scenario is that Hometown Hyundai has decided not to continue the partnership with Search Optics. So by simply clicking on the deactivate button, a series of alerts again go out to the vendor, to us at DealerVault, and to you at the dealership, confirming that you want to deactivate that feed. And remember we've first deactivated the appointments feed. So we say yes. By simply doing that, you'll see that that Search Optics appointment feed is no longer a current feed. It's been deactivated. That tie has been severed. If we want to deactivate completely the feeds for Search Optics, we just continue to hit the deactivate. Those alerts go out, and you can see we are no longer delivering data to Search Optics. At this point, what I'd like to do is take any questions or talk to my colleagues and ask if there's anything additional that I have forgotten to mention.
So if
I don't think so. I think
sorry about that. If anybody has a question, please type it in the chat window. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, no, Gene, I think it was a great, thorough overview. I'm just going to recommend we'll just leave let's leave the demo site up for the time being. If there's any questions that come in that that we may need to kind of highlight or walk through another step, if need be.
All right, I see one question coming in. Where can I view a list of all the vendors that DealerVault integrates with? That's a great question. I think I'll start out with that one, and then Patrick, you can take over if you have anything additional. On the panel, in the Go-To webinar window, you'll see there's a Handouts tab. It may be collapsed right now. There should be a little plus sign next to it. If it is window shaded, you can open that up right now, and there's two attachments in PDF form right there. These are going to go away after the webinar, so if you would like to click on these and save them, there's a D3 list, which is all the current vendors, and there's also a vendor setup guide, which is a step-by-step tutorial on how to add a feed. So if you'd like to save those, go ahead, click on that PDF, and you can save those to your desktop now. And Patrick, do you want to touch on the D3 list? Maybe if you want to open that or go into any details on it?
Well, yeah, and I wanted to say, yeah, so great. Thank you for pointing that out, Tim, on the attached PDF there in the handout section. You'll also notice Gina just went back to the, clicked on the Add a Feed button from home screen. So if you're a dealership and you're on DealerVault, the list of current, what we call data delegates, also known as vendors, is there live, and that's updated as we onboard each vendor separately. So you can use, scroll through there, log in, and see if a vendor that you maybe just signed up with is on there. But certainly feel free to download the PDF, and that's the most recent version, to review and see who else you can potentially add for syndicating your data to. Any other questions that have come in, Tim, by chance?
Let me see. If anyone has a question, please type it in the window. So here's one that came in. It's something that Gina already went over, but maybe you can quick go over it again. How can you check which fields each vendor is requesting? You want to quick show that, Gina?
Sure, absolutely. So when we are going to activate that feed, and again, I will just choose one of our partners, we are able to, at a very granular level, go into all of the feeds that that partner or that delegate is receiving. So right now we're looking at the Advantage Concepts sales feed details. If you simply click through the different tabs, you will see the fields that are being sent to Advantage Concepts. And as a reminder, if there is something that you don't want them to receive, all you need to do is uncheck the box and hit Submit. And that series of alerts will go out letting Advantage Concepts know there's been a change, but they will not receive the data that you've now unchecked.
Very nice. Thank you for explaining that, Gina.
Sure.
If there's any other questions, please type them in the questions box. If I'm a dealer in an auto group, some vendors are the same for all stores, but a few vendors differ. Can I customize for each store?
Absolutely. So we can, when adding a data feed, we can go and add at a store level. So if all stores are looking to add a feed for this Advantage Concepts, we simply click on Stores, and we can move all of them to the area where it says Add this feed for the store. However, as you had mentioned in the question, there may be some stores that should not be set up for this feed. So we can choose to, again, be specific into which stores are set up for which feeds. We recognize that some stores have vendors or partnerships with companies that not all within the dealer group do have those partnerships. So we want to give the dealer the flexibility to add those feeds for whichever stores they need.
Very good. I think that explains it. And if they click OK here, then they can do that for each type of data also. Maybe
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, the control for specific data feeds is in the dealer's hands. It can be at a store level. It can be at an auto group level. That's really determined by the dealers themselves, how they want to manage and set up this tool.
excellent. Thank you, Gina. That's a good demo right there. If there's any other questions, you can type them in now. Otherwise, we can hand the control over to Patrick to maybe go over the PowerPoint.
Sure, I will do that.
Thank you, Gina. Great job. Can you confirm that you can see the activation screen in front of you?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Great. So now on to some of the good stuff. Although that was a great overview and demo, but and we wanted to reward folks for playing a part of this demo. So if you're a dealership that is currently using the DealerVault platform to syndicate your DMS data, we've got a bit of a challenge, if you will, where we're issuing prizes for the dealership attendee on this webinar with the most activations with a $25 Amazon gift card. And also by participating in this webinar, you'll be entered into our drawing. We've done about 5 or 6 of these webinars now at this point. You'll be entered into that drawing for anyone activating over 5 feeds, and those feeds must stay on for over 30 days. And the winner of that group will receive a $100 Amazon gift card. So again, we just want to tell our dealers thank you again for being a part of our network, and certainly for taking the time today to learn more and some of the tips and tricks on how to get the most out of your DealerVault platform. At this point, I wanted to have this up on the screen and really take a moment to sort of highlight some additional resources that are available for you within DealerVault. So there is a Getting Started website. You'll see there the URL in front of you. We've also got a DealerVault support line, so we certainly want to make sure that you're aware of that at 877-882-5496. But certainly if easier, you can also email us at support@dealervault.com. So I'll leave that up just for a moment if you want to write that down or take notes. But we're here to help you. So if you've got certain particular questions on your either single point store or group store, we're here to help and work you through any of the questions you might have. At this moment, Tim, if there weren't any other questions that popped in, I think it's a great time to wrap up. Gina, thanks again for the insight and the great tutorial today. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. My personal contact information is on the screen in front of you. Certainly do not hesitate to call the cell phone, email me directly, and Gina and I and the rest of the team here are happy to work with you. Have a great day, and thanks again for joining us.